This is CBC Here and Now.
We know that being fully vaccinated offers much better protection against this variant.
You can now get your second shot of the COVID-19 vaccine a whole lot sooner.
Why the province has shortened the 8-week wait time.
Another beautiful night out here in St. John's, out at Bannerman Park tonight. We do have a couple more days like this, but the temperatures are going to cool down for Labrador.
Basketball is on a rebound in Mile 1, but Edge fans will be disappointed.
The Edge will not be back for this season.
More details are coming up on Here and Now.
Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. I'm Anthony Germain.
And I'm Carolyn Stokes. Well, you can now get your second dose of COVID-19 vaccine sooner. The Chief Medical Officer of Health announced the change this morning. Dr. Janice Fitzgerald has reduced the required amount of time between doses from 8 weeks to 4 weeks. Other provinces have already made the move to shorten the interval between first and second doses. Fitzgerald says there are several reasons for the change, one being she'd like to see as many people as possible fully vaccinated before the school year begins in September.
Certainly looking at the timelines with regard to school and having people vaccinated for the return of school and trying to get back to normal education in September. That was important. Also, the increase in supply in vaccine made it quite a doable thing at this point.
Another reason for the change, Fitzgerald is also concerned with the spread of the highly infectious COVID variants as the province continues to reopen and welcome more travelers.
Particularly the Delta variant. We know that being fully vaccinated offers much better protection against this variant, and it's important to improve our level of protection as we continue to ease restrictions in the weeks ahead.
Now, the Department of Health does say the evidence still suggests that a longer time between doses may increase and prolong the immune response to the vaccine, so the 8-week interval is still recommended.
In a connected story, the Department of Health says there aren't any new cases of COVID-19 in the province, but the second ship anchored in Conception Bay has 23 new cases today. That means 31 crew members have tested positive for the virus, and one of them is in hospital. Public Health says testing of the entire crew is ongoing and everyone aboard the ship is isolating. On the first ship that anchored in Conception Bay earlier this month, the total number of cases is holding steady at 14. So in total, there are 45 active cases of COVID-19 on those two ships and just one active case in the province.
Well, a police investigation has found a retired RNC officer abused his power and unlawfully detained a man in Corner Brook in 2015. The internal disciplinary report found police didn't have the grounds to arrest the man and bring him to hospital for a psychiatric assessment. Here Now's Mark Quinn has been following this and he joins me now. So Mark, this story is rooted in events that happened back in April 2015. So what happened back then to prompt that detention?
So the event that sparked this detention was the fatal police shooting of Don Dunphy by RNC Constable Joe Smythe on April 5th, 2015. And back then, of course, Smythe was a member of a special unit that was charged with protecting the Premier. And he visited Dunphy to ask about tweets that mentioned the Premier and other politicians. Now, years later in 2017, an inquiry found that Smythe had used appropriate force in self-defense when he fatally shot Dunphy. But days after that shooting, Andrew Abbas, who was living in Corner Brook, posted a series of tweets criticizing the police and the Premier. And this one in particular provoked police to take action. He wrote, "How about this, Premier of NL? I'm going to bring down Confederation and have politicians executed. Ready to have me shot, coward?" That's what he asked on Twitter. And hours later, police went to Abbas's home, arrested him, and brought him to hospital for a psychiatric assessment.
Okay, so what does the RNC report say about this?
It says the arrest was an abuse of power. It also says police didn't have the grounds to arrest Abbas, and they also say he was detained unlawfully. And here's what the report's author, retired Deputy Chief Edmund Oates, said in the report. "The circumstances of this case are something one could imagine happening in a police state, not in a free democratic country which is governed by a charter of rights. The report concludes that former RNC Sergeant Tim Buckle was responsible for what happened, and furthermore, Oates said if Buckle hadn't retired from the force already, he would have been dismissed from it.
Okay, so what happens now?
Well, the report's author can impose discipline in this case because Buckle is retired, but he did make 6 recommendations, including additional training for police about what's required to detain someone under the Mental Health Care and Treatment Act. And it also says a legislative amendment requiring that RNC internal disciplinary matters like this one are made public.
All right, Mark Quinn, thank you so much.
And that's not all. To another RNC investigation. Now, police laid charges against a father and son. An independent investigation deemed that those charges were unlawful. Now, RNC officers are the ones who are facing the charges. Here now's Katie Breen reports.
It starts here. This accident back in November 2017. The dashcam footage is silent, but driver Dennis Ball tells CBC he rolled down his window while pulling a U-turn, telling police to, quote, direct the effing traffic. An officer on scene followed Ball back to his Paradise home, attempting to arrest him for flying through the intersection. Their confrontation? Caught on home surveillance. You can see Ball's son Zachary run out. The officer pepper sprays the young man, tells him to stand back. Then 2 more officers arrive, Constable Bernard Morgan and Constable Isabella Wagner. Their actions were the focus of today's hearing. The pair approached the house, telling the son to come out.
And I told them to get a warrant.
Then Constable Wagner breaks a window of the home. Zachary Ball comes out. He's handcuffed. Then, while being led to a cruiser, Constable Morgan hits him in the back of the head with his forearm. Morgan's lawyer says that's a known move officers use when facing resistance. The father and son spend the night in the lockup. But when the prosecution saw that video footage, the charges against the Balls were dropped. The chief of the RNC ordered an independent investigation, and that investigation found the arrests of Dennis and Zachary Ball were unlawful, that the pepper spraying and hitting were not justified, and that there were no reasonable grounds to break a window in the home, suggesting instead that the officers involved should be charged for their actions. Constable Morgan and Constable Wagner are charged with wrongful arrest, excessive force, wrongful entry into a residence, and discourteous behavior for swearing on the job. Depending on the outcome of the hearing, they could lose their jobs. These are not criminal proceedings. It's all being handled through the RNC Public Complaints Commission. Lawyers for the 2 officers are pushing back, arguing there's been an abuse of process. That's a rare legal principle, which, according to Wagner's lawyer, is meant to stop administrative agencies from treating people unfairly. There's been no ruling on that argument. Final submissions are expected to continue tomorrow. Katie Breen, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, it's another beautiful day here in St. John's today, but yesterday I talked about all of that heat up across Labrador through the afternoon, and after the show, the temperatures actually climbed a little bit more in some places. Let's take a look at those. It is an impressive amount of heat across Labrador. The hot spot was Paradise River and Postville, tied for the top spot, 34.6 degrees. And then, so that's where we saw those warmer temperatures. And yesterday I talked about 31.4 in Makovic. So certainly saw those warm temperatures right through to even southeastern portions of Labrador. A little cooler though as you get into Lanzaloo. Your temperature was sitting around 20 degrees through the afternoon. Now, temperatures still today have dropped quite a bit. This is the change from the last 24 hours, about anywhere from 4 to 6 degrees across the coastal areas of the of Labrador, but your temperatures still today absolutely beautiful. 26, 27, 28 degrees, reaching that 30-degree mark in Happy Valley Goose Bay. And like I said, a beautiful day across the island as well. 23 degrees here in St. John's as the day goes on. We may see another degree or 2, but these temperatures are going to stick around, and I'll get into all the details when I come back.
Thanks, Ashley. Well, it's a ferry issue that's been debated for years, and more recently, a consultant studied it, and now the issue seems to be settled. Marine Atlantic will not be moving its head office from St. John's to either Port aux Basques or North Sydney. Terry Roberts reports.
These are made-for-TV images of Marine Atlantic ships slowly making their way quayside in Port aux Basques, the primary port of entry for anyone arriving on the island of Newfoundland by sea from mainland Canada. But Marine Atlantic's head office is located in this building, downtown St. John's, more than 900 kilometers away from Port aux Basques. It's long been a thorny issue, prompting the board of directors to hire a consultant to study the viability of moving the head office to either Port aux Basques or North Sydney. The report was completed in February 2020 by a firm called HDR and was obtained by CBC News through an access to information request. While it did not make any firm recommendation, the report highlighted some serious consequences for Marine Atlantic if it were to relocate its head office from here in St. John's to one of the smaller port communities. One of the most eyebrow-raising, practically all of the 20 staff here in St. John's say they will quit their jobs if told they had to relocate. The report said this would mean big problems for Marine Atlantic and lead to productivity losses and inefficiencies that can take years for the organization to overcome. Recruiting top-tier employees to smaller, more remote communities is a global challenge. The report says this could lead to what's called credential shrink, forcing Marine Atlantic to hire candidates with a lower level of education and experience. As a result, there will not be any shakeup at Marine Atlantic. The man in charge says there are just too many risks.
You know, we got people in those positions today. They've been with the organization for a number of years. They got a lot of corporate knowledge. And if you were to relocate those positions, you take a chance of losing that corporate knowledge as well. It's nice to get people close to the operations of the organization when it makes sense. In this case, it doesn't make a lot of sense trying to relocate those positions closer to the port communities and the operations itself.
But some change might be coming. Marine Atlantic spends about $500,000 every year on office space here at this building. The report recommends Marine Atlantic look for more affordable space. Murray Hupman says that process will begin this fall. Terry Roberts, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, the town of Grand Falls-Windsor locked out its unionized workers early this morning. The employees are members of CUPE Local 1349. The previous collective agreement between the union and the town expired last year, and the two sides haven't been able to reach a new contract. The town's mayor says one of the main contract issues is the insurance plan. Barry Manuel says the town pays 100% of the premiums for that plan, and the price just keeps going up. Despite the lockout, he says essential town services should continue, and they have a plan to use contractors, and town management will take on more responsibilities.
Well, in other news, the St. John's Edge has played its last game at Mile 1 Centre.
The city is about to welcome a new professional basketball team starting this fall, but as Here and Now's Henrika Wilhelm reports, that news came as a big surprise to the Edge.
An announcement the city of St. John's considers a slam dunk. Basketball is coming back to Mile 1, but local fans will have to switch jerseys. The city struck a deal with a new team. It says a lease was never signed with the former team, the Edge, even though it tried to negotiate. So the city moved on.
They're a local group, some business people that, have been looking at this for some time and came forward with a proposal. They met with the board, the full board. The board were obviously happy with what we've seen. And like I said, we're at the stage now where we're pretty close to being able to sign and finalize a deal.
Korab says the group is working on both a team name and logo and plan on involving the community. The city notified both the Edge and the Growlers in April that they're open for proposals from teams and welcome both teams to come forward. Deacon Sports and Entertainment, which represents the St. John's Edge, is surprised by the news.
We were surprised and a little bit disappointed because we felt that as a group that our proposal kind of made sense.
Deacon Entertainment, which already runs the Growlers hockey team, had plans to purchase the Edge and run both teams as one franchise.
We thought we had a good package. We put a proposal into them last week that included hockey and basketball, one ownership group, which we felt would have been good for corporate partners and fans, so that you're not confused with two owners and do a lot of cross promotions. So we felt that was a good proposal, and it kind of cleaned everything up for everybody.
Korb says the new team's willingness to sign a lease was the deciding factor. The Edge is also disappointed with the city and the officials. In a phone interview, the team's co-owner, Rob Sabat, told CBC that, "Since day one, there's been people working against us. We have negotiated with the arena and the arena manager. They've shown no appetite to have our team return." And he says, "We felt we were the exclusive basketball tenant. We came to a tentative agreement to sell the team to a proven party. The arena has done its best to block us. The manager and the board have absolutely not acted in the best interest of the public." Today's announcement also causes uncertainty over hockey in the city, since the Growlers have been without a lease for a year and a half.
I have no idea. I have no idea where it goes from here. We're trying to grasp the news today and try to figure where we go tomorrow. I have no idea.
Which team exactly will hit the court in the fall will be announced in the coming weeks. The city said they're still trying to secure the Growlers for another puck drop, but no lease has been signed yet. Henrike Wilhelm, CBC News, St. John's.
Hey, I'm Sarah, Heather, Michaela. We're just living our best blanket life here in St. John's. Ashley's got some great weather coming up. Stay tuned.
Some residents in Springdale say the business owner who owns this mess should clean it up. He says he's being bullied.
Me and my family are ostracized. We're public enemy number one. I am, for no reason.
That story's coming up.
Pretty good gig for you tonight, Ashley, out in beautiful Bannerman Park. I bet it's on wheels out there tonight.
Yeah, there are lots of people out here enjoying the sunshine. The clouds just moved in now, so it's feeling a little chilly, but still a beautiful evening out here tonight. I've got a few people who have set up camp in the park today. So tell me, what are you guys doing?
There is a castle here. So we created a castle with some trees we found, and there's like different bedrooms in it and entertainment areas.
Okay, so can you show me a little bit around it?
Okay. So here's my bedroom. My name is Kelsey. Here's my bedroom, and it has games, food, and my bed.
How long have you guys been here?
We came here around like 3 o'clock, and the first thing we caught eye on was the palace, so we decided to come here.
And so you set up your palace. Are you guys planning on spending the night here?
No, but we are gonna stay for a while, like maybe an hour longer.
Okay, 1 more hour. So what are your top 3 things to do in the park today?
Going to the splash pad, playing in the park, and hiking, I guess, like walking around the park.
Okay, all right. Well, that sounds like it's a pretty good gig here. You guys got everything set up. I'll let you get back to that. And we're going to talk a little bit about the weather now, because it was a beautiful day through the afternoon today across most areas. Let's take a look at those daytime highs today. Current temperatures, for St. John's, 22 degrees right now. So we have seen those temperatures drop a degree or two this afternoon, and we still have those beautiful temperatures up across Labrador. 28 degrees right now in Makkovik, and 20 degrees in Lab City right now. So taking a look at the Humidex, it is feeling a little humid for some areas. We're going to see that humidity head towards the west coast, and eventually through the day tomorrow, even through parts of Central, it'll feel a little bit more humid than it certainly did today. As far as the weather systems go this afternoon, we saw lots of cloud cover on the west coast, and like I mentioned, you can see it, well, you could see it ahead of me, but there is a little bit of cloud cover there. It is there heading towards the metro area, and we're going to see that over the next few hours. You may see a few spits of rain with this, but it shouldn't be anything too significant. And then we should see some clearing skies in behind that. But it is the winds today. We've seen some pretty breezy winds. 52 is what we're gusting right now in St. John's, and areas for the rest of the province anywhere from 30 to 50 kilometers per hour. So that will be the story as we head through the overnight tonight. We're not going to see too much in the way of relief from that, but the chance of showers will stick around for the west coast as well as along the south coast. Even some drizzle possible overnight tonight, and then some rain for Lab West as we get into the morning hours. As that moves towards central Labrador as you get into the towards the morning. So as far as the forecast goes for tonight, we're looking at temperatures anywhere from 14 to 17 degrees. Like I said, those winds will stay up. They'll be out of the west, and then that chance of showers pretty much all along the west coast and then towards the strait as well. Otherwise, beautiful evening in Labrador. 16 to 17 degrees is your overnight lows. A little cooler for Nain and Lab City, around 12 to 13 degrees. As we head through the day tomorrow, you're going to see that rain work its way a little bit further east through the evening hours. We may see some thunderstorms in the morning for Lab West. And then as far as the island goes, another beautiful day, maybe a little bit more cloud cover towards the west coast, along with the chance of a few showers through the afternoon. But overall, it will be a fairly nice day. Some heavier showers look to move through Friday night and into early Saturday morning. So a lovely start to the weekend. 25 degrees in St. John's. Winds still going to be breezy again, though, 30 to 50 kilometers per hour. A little warmer as you head towards central. Again, 27, 28 degrees as the daytime highs, and a little bit cooler along the south coast. Likely going to see some showers for Burgeo, Port aux Basques, even up through all along the west coast, where your temperatures will be sitting around 25 degrees for Corner Brook, 23 for Gros Morne, and then for the northern peninsula, again, gray skies the story through the afternoon, between 17 to 21. A little bit cooler, still beautiful, but a little bit cooler for the southeastern portion of Labrador. 24 degrees is your daytime high. Probably a little bit more sunshine in and around Mary's Harbour, but that rain will make its way from Lab West through to central Labrador into the afternoon. Note your temperatures, though, much cooler for Lab City, sitting around 16 degrees tomorrow, and that's thanks to winds out of the north about 15 to 20 kilometers per hour. So that's a look at tomorrow's forecast. The rest of the weekend, we do have some rain in the forecast. Some areas will dodge it, but I'll get into those details and have your full forecast when I come back.
I'm in Springdale for another one of our Eyesore NL stories, and two people among many here in Springdale who join me now, Nadine Evans and Deborah Clark. Nadine, what are your concerns about this property behind us?
My concerns about the property behind you is I grew up in this hometown. This is my hometown, and so I grew up here for 23 years. Then I left the town and joined the service. After 27 years, came back for retirement, and this is what greets me when I come back, this debris that's in the background and over here to my right. It's really shameful that all this debris is here because it's such an eyesore to look at. And you have a beautiful apartment building up there, Maggie's Manor, and the seniors, they look out their window each and every morning and this is the view they have when they should have a beautiful view of our harbor. We could also develop our harbor for tourism, but you have so much debris that's here, derelict vehicles. We have a ferry behind me that is listing to one side. There's a burned out boat over here. There's so much that we can do to beautify the town for tourism, but we have this eyesore right in the middle. And plus there's other locations throughout the community where there's also piles of derelict vehicles, junk, that is just lying around that seems to have no purpose as to why they're there.
Deborah, what would you like to see happen here?
I would like to see this gentleman take responsibility and some pride in his community and get all of this cleared up, take care of the safety issues, take pride and make it beautiful for everybody involved. And the tourism that can happen here will benefit everybody, himself included.
If anything, if he chooses not to clean it up or whatever, maybe he can put a privacy fence around it, so then only he gets to look at it and not the rest of the community.
Going to get the other side of the story about the building and the vessels that are here. The owner of the property is George Yates, and he joins me now. So Mr. Yates, before we start, what happened to that boat behind us?
Well, the boat in the background here is a 42-foot longliner that was built by my dad. That was the last wooden fishing boat that was built here in Springdale before everything turned into fiberglass. And we were keeping it to keep the tradition alive of the old wooden boat. And sometime mid last week, I think on Wednesday, around 1 o'clock, I get a call that some people had come down and torched my boat and burned it out. So it was a total wreck.
There's an act of vandalism by...
according to the police and the fire commissioner, as far as I know, it was arson.
As you know, as we've discussed, some people have some concerns with your property. Let's deal with this building that's next to us first. What's the issue with the roof on this big building?
I've owned this building here since 1990, I guess, about 32 years. And we used it as an Artie Cat dealership, and we built some boats there. And right now it's just my own personal building for personal storage. And we've been in a dispute with the town of Springdale. They issued a demolition order back sometime in 2017, and so we've been going through the process, through the appeal board's process with that. The roof was fine on the building, but due to the age, it needed to be re-shingled or re-tiled, and we decided before we do that, we'd put on some new lumber. So back in April of 2017, we had 7,000 or 8,000 board feet of lumber come in from the roof from a mill in Bayvert. And they delivered it, stored it inside the building. It's still inside there now.
So just to be clear, you were trying to fix this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So what happened?
I went up to the council office to get a permit. I was handed a demolition order after I asked for the permit, actually. And so the ladies in the office said they could give me a general repairs permit and to drop back the next day to get it. So I came back and they had it written out. And so when I went to get the permit, I asked what the fee was. They said it was $20. So I passed them my debit card, and they said they didn't take debit, it had to be cash or check. So I was on my way to the bank. So I said, I'll run next door, get the money, and come back. So I came back in about 10 minutes. And when I came back, the permit had been voided by the chief administrative officer.
Any reason given to you for that?
They said because the demolition order had been just issued, that they wouldn't let me repair the roof.
Meanwhile, this is getting older and older.
And yes, I'm getting chastised by the community, and me and my family are ostracized, and we're public enemy number one. I am, for no reason. Most of all this trouble stirred up after there was a set of retirement cottages built across the street, funded by government money, big subsidy. And then they wanted my building gone, it seems like.
All right, so because some of those people over there aren't happy with what it looks like, right?
Yeah, I guess they wanted to get a view of the ocean.
Well, there's a lot of things I could tell you about that eyesore, but I have to be sort of nice. It is a problem, it is dangerous, and it is absolutely disgusting and upsetting to look at.
Did you see the boat burn the other, whenever
Oh, yes.
Because I could smell it when I...
It was funny. I was doing something, and when I saw it, I ran out to see if it was the building. And several people in other parts of town called me and texted me and said, Karen, is the ugly building burning? I said, no, I checked it out, it's a boat.
You say that almost if you're disappointed.
Well, I would never do anything, but a lot of this town would not cry if they saw it go up.
To be fair to their criticisms, George, that it's not just the roof, which obviously you have, the court has sided with you on that, But in terms of, you know, the old ferries and the bulldozers and the other equipment and all that, can you see what they're talking about?
Absolutely not. I bought the wharf dock here 20 years ago from Transport Canada, and we've got pure clear title to all the waterfront here. The ferry, the MV Earl-Windsor, I bought that legally from the government of Newfoundland and Labrador 2 years ago, and it's just part of the regular routine business. We buy and sell stuff all the time. And that ferry was used right up to 2018. It's not a derelict of any kind. And some people rent apartments, some people rent whatever, rent cars. We rent storage space for boats.
So you're trying to sell this?
Oh yeah, yes. Yeah. It's being brokered all over the world.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, when you talk about being public enemy number one, I think that some people also point out you have other properties that they have concerns about with you storing stuff.
We're inspected on a regular basis by Department of Health and Department of Health and Safety and Department of Environment, because the business we're in, and we pass all the time, so there's nothing we're doing wrong. Some people say what we have is an eyesore. I guess that's very subjective, right? But it's not hurting anybody, and we're not having any complaints from our neighbors, and we're operating within the law, which is the main thing.
Well, there is that expression that one person's trash is another person's treasure, right?
Exactly.
But do you ever look at yourself and say, you know, hey George, this doesn't look that great? Do you ever think that? Well, a lot of people come and says to me, the stuff we got is beautiful. That's what I think. You know, it's just if you left here and went right to British Columbia, you'd see this stuff all along the highways. I mean, trailers and boats, and I don't know what they're talking about. I mean, I got a snowplow here, and a sailboat, and my boom truck that I use. I don't understand. I do not understand. But it seems like the social media phenomena. There's a very small percentage of the town that are bullies. Not all the town. There's a good town, good people, but there's a very small percentage for some reason get together and want to gang up on someone, and they've been ganging up on me the last several years. Right. And we've been here on business since 1972. My mother was 84 and a half years old, and she worked in the business since she was 16. And I came home many a times over the last 3 or 4 years with my mother crying, standing up crying to the sink, and that was because of the stuff that was said on social media about me and my family. And it's not called for, and we take deep exception to it. And it's cruel what people do with the words that cut so hard. And we've done a lot of good for this town, and we've helped a lot of people. So we're disgusted. I'm very disappointed about and disgusted about the vandalism that's going on against me and our property the last 8 months or so. We're after having $40,000 worth of, over $40,000 worth of damage done to ships here on the waterfront. And we put up a gate to block off to make it safer on the wharf so people wouldn't go out and vandalize stuff. And the next day after I put the gate up, we had all the windows smashed out of 4 of my vehicles uptown. And just doesn't stop. And now the latest is when it gets to Harrison, that's really got me afraid, right? And the other thing, everybody's always talking about the eyesore here with my building. The building's been here since 1957. It hasn't changed, besides the damage on the roof. But if they want to take up a cause, why don't they take up the cause? The town is pumping out at least 10 tractor trailer loads, 300,000 liters of raw sewage a day going out into the ocean. The beach here that everybody wants to see is not fit for anybody to walk on. Not fit. We're only less than 300 feet from the town's sewage. All the sewage for the town of Springdale goes out. So they want to tear my building down, and they want to look at that town sewage bubble. So I'd say, have a second look at what you're arguing about here. Well, George, thank you for giving us your side of the story. Appreciate that. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Now, we spoke with Springdale's Chief Administrative Officer, Jason Sparks, about this, and he says the entire situation there has been frustrating for council as well as residents. And he says the town is not turning a blind eye to those properties. And Sparks says the town is trying to follow the proper protocol, but everything is being held up by the courts. And he says the town's offer to help Mr. Yates clean up his properties have been refused. And Sparks says the situation has been so draining that he's worried some councillors won't run for re-election this fall.
And this is Tickle Cove Farm from the famous song. Right here up Walker's Trail, I guess named for Mark Walker, the composer of the tune Tickle Cove Pond.
Well, just ahead, Shanniganuk's Chris Andrews takes us to Tickle Cove on the Burin Peninsula and gives us the history of the traditional song Tickle Cove Pond.
Welcome back, and time for a little trad. Tonight we have the second part in our series about music and place.
Yes, and we're looking at the history of Tickle Cove Pond. You can find Tickle Cove along the Bonavista Peninsula, and it inspired the traditional piece of music.
In this series that we're going to have throughout the entire summer, filmmaker Roger Maunder and Shanniganuk's Chris Andrews take us to communities that have inspired some well-known songs. So here's Chris Andrews with Tickle Cove Pond.
Lay ho, William Old Ferd, lay ho, William White, lay ho of the boat. Welcome to Tickle Cove, the home of Tickle Cove Pond. Let's go ahead and have a look. In cotton and hauling and frost and in snow, we're up against troubles that few people know. And it's only by courage and patience and grit and eating plain food that we keep ourselves fit. The hard and the easy we take as it comes, and When ponds freeze over, we shorten our run. In hurrying me hauling for spring coming on. Near lost me a mare out on Tickle Cove Pond. If you drive down Route 235 at the Bonavista Peninsula, you'll see a turn off to Open Hall, Redcliffe, and Tickle Cove. Tickle Cove is the home of the famous Newfoundland song, Tickle Cove Pond. Tickle Cove has a lot to offer, including walking trails and its famous sea arch.
Gus Olford, Redcliffe, Bonavista Bay, Newfoundland. Tickle Cove was the third largest community in Bonavista Bay, next to Bonavista itself and Keels. I think Tickle Cove got up close to 400 people, and is what's there now. In Tickle Cove itself, what we call it down in the harbour, there's what, 11, 12 people.
And this is Tickle Cove Pond from the famous song. Right here on Walker's Trail, I guess named for Mark Walker, the composer of the tune Tickle Cove Pond.
Mark was actually born in Bonavista, moved to Tickle Cove, fished there, and obviously wrote songs, and moved to Sweet Bay in the late 1890s, I think, and became postmaster up there. And in 1906 or 1908, not quite sure, he took his whole family to Boston. And no idea what he did there, but he died in 1926, I think. So.
But the song was more or less about a guy was coming back from the woods with a gripping sled full of wood, and his horse more or less said, if we go across that pond, we're not going to make it. And he decided they would, and they went through the ice. And, you know, he made out a loud cry, and as you can see, the people are sort of around the pond, and they must have heard what was happening, and the neighbors came to help.
Someone was in trouble, everyone came running, right? So that's the way it is then. That's the way it is in rural Newfoundland anyway, so everyone helps out.
And they put a rope on the horse, and they hauled the horse out of the pond.
The song has been used as Olfords and Whites, and I'm Olford. My wife is a White, and I would only be too glad to for that to be the history of the song. But apparently, and that's what we grew up to, that it was Overs, O-V-E-R-S. And I went back to 1953, and I found a guy that came from the mainland and sang it in the first recorded version, known recorded version, 1953. And he used Olfords instead of Overs.
Other popular versions are Sullivan and Slaney, Great Big Sea, and the ultimate version, they say, by Ron Hines. And a lot of people think the horse died, but I've been told that the horse lived.
There's not enough water to drown a horse there. No, I don't think she did. I went right around that pond with a depth finder, fish finder, whatever, and 4 to 6 feet most of the water in the pond. One spot, 13 feet of water, but where that horse would have come out, same island pad as it is 150 years ago, she wouldn't have drowned.
Must have been amazing to see everybody come together like that to help. I think that's a real, true blue thing about Newfoundland and Labrador, that we're always here to help our neighbors. Lay ho, William Olford, lay ho, William White, lay ho of the cordage and pull all your might. Lay ho of the bowline and pull all you can. And with that we got Kit out of Tickle Cove Pond.
Well, there you go.
But sway to that song.
Yeah, I'm glad that the horse appears to survive. So we've got the series all summer. Lots of learning. I learn each time we see one of these things, and they're beautiful. So
absolutely gorgeous.
Thanks to Chris and Roger Maunder. Welcome back. Our Eyesore series item tonight was all about pride of place, a community wanting a cleaner space.
Yes, well, garbage found along the St. John River is being repurposed into artwork in downtown Fredericton.
As artist Jean Hudson will explain, it's meant to raise a stink.
There are 4 panels. Each of them, it kind of resembles a fish drying rack, and each rack has 60 tin fish hanging in it. And the fish are made out of cans. They're pop cans, beer cans, energy drink cans. And so the first thing is to wash them out, and then to remove the tops and bottoms. And then we have a press that we press them in to give them the shape and scales, and then cut out, and then a face put on them. I live on the Mactaquac Head Pond, and I cleaned up a section of the bank of the St. John River and collected a lot of little tiny pieces of plastic, from chip bags, pieces of chip bags, to plastic food containers, to plastic bottles, cans, just general garbage that shouldn't be there. I just want people to think a little bit about our underwater world and the pollution that we're, inflicting on the underwater world. From the right whales and fishing gear to little tiny pieces of plastic, in the St. John River. We need to take care of our environment.
Some activist art. Well, time to check in once more with Ashley, but first, we've been talking about those high temperatures in Labrador, where here is another sign that summer 2021 is off the charts. The city trucks in St. Petersburg, Russia, are using tons of water to cool down the streets as well as sweltering residents. Temperatures have been hovering around 30 degrees for weeks. That's about 10 degrees above the average for that city. The city's already used roughly 9,500 tons of water just this month alone. That's about 2.5 million gallons, 12 million liters.
Well, Ashley, I bet there are some folks out there enjoying the water in Bannerman Park. I see you're by the field right now. All kinds of things on the go there tonight.
Yeah, we got a baseball game going, or a softball game going behind me. And lots of people out at the park now. It's starting to get a little busier. Lots of people walking dogs and stuff. But you may have noticed, Carolyn, I don't know if you've walked by the park lately, but there's this new phenomenon, at least I've been seeing when I walk Drizzle out here, is this little net and people around it playing with a ball. So this is a new thing. This is Mark, and he's going to tell us a little bit about what this is. So what exactly are you playing here?
Yeah, so we're playing a game called Spike Ball. It's just a little net with a little tiny rubber bullet ball, and you get in 2 teams, so it's 4 people total, and you guys, one team lines up on one side, the other on the other side, and first one to win the rally wins a point, and it's 2 passes max, and then the last hit needs to hit the net.
Okay,
yeah.
That was a lot of information.
Yeah.
So you throw the ball on the net,
yeah.
That's called a pitch.
You serve it, actually.
Serve it.
You serve it
Serve
on the net.
it,
Yeah.
And that's called a pitch, and then you volley, so it's kind of like volleyball.
It's pretty much exactly like volleyball, yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
And I see you guys are all in barefoot.
We are.
Is there a reason for that?
Better grip, I'd say. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, do you guys want to give us a little bit of a tour of, or at least a demonstration of what you do?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And mind serving us a few nice days while you're at it?
I will do my best. All right, go ahead, guys.
Go Combs.
These guys are pretty good. There you go. That's awesome. Well done, guys. Thank you very much. Well, I'm going to let you guys get back to that. I'm going to talk a little bit about the weather. Over the next couple days, I am going to serve up a couple nice days. So for them, at least through parts of the weekend, there is a chance of a few showers. But let's take a look at the future tracker over the next couple of days. We are going to see that chance of showers as an area of low pressure moves through for parts of Labrador and then along the west coast. This should be periods of rain through the morning, and that will head across the island and then get to the western portion, or rather the eastern portion of the island as we get through the evening hours. So most of the day on Saturday should actually be fairly nice. As we get into Sunday, maybe a few spits of rain, but overall it'll be a fairly nice day, just some showers rolling across Labrador. And then into Monday as well, we'll see that chance of showers for you across the big land. So temperatures on Saturday, we're really not going to see them moving too much through Saturday. So temperatures will be sitting somewhere between 26 to 28 degrees. I do, like I said, have that chance of showers right across the board, but we'll also see some sun in the mix, especially after the morning hours for the west coast. And then across Labrador, there's that cool down. 18 degrees for Cartwright, 19 in Happy Valley Goose Bay. And then Nain, you're going to be sitting around 14 degrees as your afternoon high on Saturday. Into Sunday, a little bit of a rebound, although it will be a little bit unsettled for you across Nain. 21 degrees, back into that sunshine for Happy Valley Goose Bay, and 27. And then Saturday looking fairly nice across the island. Temperatures, again, not moving too much. Mid-20s, mid to high 20s for most of us. And the winds will finally die down a little bit through the afternoon as well. So that's good news for your Sunday. As we get into Monday, looking at sunshine, 23 degrees. Tuesday is when things will get a little bit more unsettled. We're looking at chance of showers and 20 degrees. But again, those overnight lows between 14 to 16 degrees. And then for central Newfoundland, sunshine for both Sunday and Monday, like I mentioned. Tuesday looks a little cloudy at this point, but dry. We may see a few showers, but 23 degrees shouldn't amount to too much. And then for western Newfoundland, nothing but sunshine on Sunday. Monday, a little bit more cloud cover. And then by Tuesday, looking at mostly cloudy skies through the afternoon. Now for eastern Labrador, you will see that cool down on Saturday, back up on Sunday. So a little bit of a roller coaster for you. Into Monday, we're looking at a little bit of cloud cover. Tuesday, 24 degrees. And then for western Labrador, your temperatures will pretty much stay steady. But again, your overnight lows, like I mentioned yesterday, are going to start to dip a little bit, 8-9 degrees as your overnight lows. So I want to share this photo. Yesterday I mentioned the haze in the sky and the potential to see a fairly red sunset. So that certainly happened. This was the sunset at Sandy Cove Pond last night. Diane shared that one with us. And if you have any weather photos that you'd like to share with us, send them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
Yeah, pinkish hue there that you can see. Nice picture, Diane.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Another beauty.
Very nice.
Very nice.
And that spike ball looked pretty fun, Ashley. I remember back in my day going to Bannerman Park, hacky sack was the big sport that people would be playing. Now it's spike ball.
That's the new hacky sack. That's exactly what it is. That's a good one. I like that.
I have no idea what you crazy kids are talking about. Oh, hacky sack. I remember that.
Hacky sack? Yeah.
We need to have a
how do you
demo.
not know what hacky sack is?
We need to have a demo.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh.
Chrissy's throwing me a badminton right now.
Oh, there you go.
It's a nice night for it. Now the wind's died down a little bit.
We'll go have a great game, and we'll figure out where you're going to be tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Yep, we will definitely figure that out. Another nice night tomorrow. Yeah.
Excellent.
Wonderful.
Well, thank you.
Good night, everyone. Thanks for watching.
See you tomorrow.
Good night.